If you're like me, you loved your iPhone 4S for many years. Unfortunately, mine shows. Ouch. So today I'm going to show you how to replace the front panel in your iPhone 4S. For this repair, you're going to need a P2 PENTALOBE screwdriver, SIM card eject tool, Phillips 000 screwdriver, plastic opening tools, a 2.5mm flathead screwdriver, and an anti-static project tray. This is just an overview, so be sure to check out the step-by-step guide on iFixit.com when you do your repair. When you're ready to reassemble your phone, we recommend working backwards on the same guide. First step is removing the PENTALOBE screws on the bottom of the phone on either side of the charge port. Once you've done that and organized your screws on a magnetic mat or tray, turn your phone over and pop off the back panel. To do that, we're just going to hold it in both hands and use our thumbs to release it and lift it from the phone. Now you can see the battery. There's a bracket attached to the connector and it's held in place by a couple of screws. Let's remove the 2 Phillips screws and then get to work on the connector. Use a plastic opening tool to gently detach the battery connector from its socket. The battery connector comes off vertically from the logic board. Do not apply force to it sideways. Pay attention to the pressure contact underneath the top screw of the battery connector. This may come loose while prying the battery connector from its socket. Now that the battery is disconnected, we can take it out of the phone. To do that, we're just going to insert the edge of our plastic opening tool between the battery and the outer case. Then run the plastic opening tool along the right edge of the battery to completely separate it from the adhesive securing it to the outer case. Now we can use the clear plastic pull tab to peel the battery off the adhesive securing it to the iPhone and lift it right out. On to the dock connector. First, unscrew the 2 Phillips screws holding the connector bracket in place and lift the bracket away. To disconnect the connector, we're going to use an opening tool to pry it from the logic board. There's a little adhesive holding the cable down. Gently peel it away from the logic board. Let's stay in the same area and disconnect the cellular antenna using our opening tool and then deroute it from the logic board. Now let's move to the top of the phone and get to work on removing the rear camera. We have a cable cover to remove and it's held in place by 4 screws. Each of these screws is a different size, so make sure you're taking good notes when you take them out so they go back in the correct place. Once they are removed, you can lift the bracket from the phone. Last up with the camera is just disconnecting the connector with our opening tool and lifting it from the phone. Before we can move on to the logic board, we need to remove the SIM card. Get your SIM eject tool or paperclip ready and then turn the phone to the left edge. Insert the SIM eject tool into the tiny hole and pop the SIM out. Time to tackle the logic board and everything attached to it. Disconnect the headphone jack volume button cable, front-facing camera cable, digitizer cable, display data cable, and finally the power button cable that's underneath the headphone jack volume button cable. Move over to the right and get to work on the grounding clip. Just remove the Phillips screw holding it in place and lift it from the logic board. Now we have a standoff screw to remove. We can use a flathead driver for that and then grab your opening tool to disconnect the Wi-Fi antenna. Only a few more things before removing the logic board. First, remove the Phillips screw securing the logic board near the power button. If you don't see the screw immediately, it's because of this piece of black tape covering it. Finally, remove 2 Phillips screws and a standoff near the bottom of the board. And then lift the logic board from the end closest to the speaker enclosure and slide it away from the top edge of the iPhone. Just be sure not to lose the small grounding finger for the rear-facing camera near the power button. You're going to need that for reassembly. The vibrator is next to come out of the phone. It's glued down, so you'll just need to use your opening tool to pry it up. To tackle the speaker enclosure, we will just need to remove these 2 Phillips screws and a small corner bracket. Once that's out of the way and organized on your mat, we can get to work on the display. There's 1 screw in each corner. Let's start by removing those. There are 3 screws on each of the inner edges for a total of 6. We're going to loosen those, but don't remove them from the phone. Now it's time to pry the display around the perimeter with your opening tool. If you're getting resistance from the edges, you may need to loosen the screws inside just a little more. That's the repair, but before we let you go, we want to give you some tips for reassembly. First, you're going to have to move your home button over to your new display. This is outlined in step 37 of the iPhone 4S display assembly guide on iFixit.com. Once your new display has a home button and is ready to go into the phone, it's time to get it resituated. This is a very important step. The cables to your new display are very fragile and can easily tear. I've torn a few myself, and let me tell you, there is nothing more frustrating than getting this far into a repair and then having to stop and wait for another display. The reason these cables tear is because they need to fit back through this hole. Also, they won't reach the logic board unless they've been pulled all the way through. This is what it should look like. Inspect your cables before you reassemble the phone for any tears and make sure that they aren't crimped anywhere. Go slow and have patience with this step. It really is the most important part of this repair. You can find all the parts and tools you need for this and many other repairs at iFixit.com. Good luck, and let me know how it goes. You can find me on Twitter at Gwendolyn Gay and follow iFixit at iFixit while you're there. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/iFixit.